So if you've been watching my channel for some time, then you may already know about these secret hidden features, specifically pertaining to these. These are the Rahkshi back covers and Rahkshi spines from 2003 and years past, and they're lovely pieces, but notoriously difficult to use in builds. Now, I have talked about these in short videos in the past and mentioned them in passing in previous videos, but never really made like a fully dedicated video to how I was able to discover these connections in the first place. So a lot of people, when they want to use this Rahkshi cover, but they don't want it flapping around because it is built around a pivot, will often resort to using something like a rubber band to tie the front end onto whatever they are trying to connect it to. And that works, but it can look a little bit unsightly. Plus, rubber bands are only available in so many colors, which can limit this unless, of course, you're using that color as an accent. However, I actually came across this problem specifically when dealing with the Takua and Puku set, because unlike other sets from 2003, that set does not contain the second half that this proprietary clip goes into. And so I thought to myself, well, how do I keep that from flapping around? It's not a major problem on the set itself, but if you turn the set upside down or something, then yeah, that nose piece on it is able to just kind of move around a bit. Well, what I ended up actually finding was something very simple and used only pieces available back in 2003 or prior. So it wasn't even using any modern pieces. It all revolved around this piece right here, the 12-tooth beveled gear. These are in every single Toa Mata set, Toa Nuva set, Takanuva, etc. And simply put, I found while experimenting that the teeth of these gears can actually fit inside of that groove, right in the middle of this clip. And it does so in such a way that actually holds with friction, so it's on there pretty good. You can pull it off. It's not going to damage any pieces, and nothing is split apart or put under any sort of stress. This is also nice too, because the 12-tooth gear has 12 different slots, if you want to call it that you can connect. So you could even angle the axle hole in different ways, but of course it will align so that the axle hole is vertical, horizontal as well. Of course. It's a really nice little feature, and it's definitely not something that LEGO needed to do. I don't even know if they intended for this to work this way, but it does, and it works really well. It holds very secure, and thankfully it works in such a way that it still falls within LEGO's measurement units, let's say, so the axle is not going to be in like a weird position, but it'll actually align with where an axle should go if connected to various Technic parts. I'll get into that later, because that can be a little bit hard to understand. That said, in playing around with this, I wanted to experiment with other parts. What else can hold this down? Well, some easy examples are actually just shoving like minifigure weapons, the katana weapon, for example, through this hole here, and then basically affixing that to something so it essentially creates like a little lock. I've done this before when making the stony ape. What is that called? Spiny stone ape? Something along those lines. One of the Rahi beast figures from forever ago. Really underrated build as well. Highly recommend building it if you have enough of the pieces, or even just making it in your own colors. Spiny stone ape. I think that's it. With that said, though, I later actually took part in a collaboration. This was a couple of years ago, and basically what we had to do was we each built our own canister-sized set and then gave it to someone else for that person to bulk up and turn into a Titan. And so I was given someone's build that used Rahkshi parts. And so I opted to use one of these Rahkshi torso or back pieces as the torso on this build as well. And it looked pretty decent. It was a very quick build overall, but again, kind of the same thing happened, because if I remember correctly, I oriented it upward, and so it would be able to flap around. What I ended up finding as well is that 20-tooth half gears, basically any type, this is just an idler type here, will also fit inside of this as well. And they'll actually hold in with pretty good friction. So you can actually kind of like clip it down onto that. And that works out really well. So I just want to kind of encourage you to experiment with your own pieces. Pieces, even if they have like standard connections, are often hiding some kind of secret. And it can be so much fun to use old pieces in new ways, especially pieces like the Rahkshi back cover, which I've I have a newfound appreciation for, and I've grown to really love this piece, even though I don't tend to use it that often in like my Rahi builds. I typically avoid metallic colors for the most part with a lot of my Rahi builds. And so although these offer some really gorgeous colors, like this kind of chrome blue here, it can be a little bit hard to use with other types of colors. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are two parts that typically go together to make a completed Rahkshi back, and as mentioned, I have showcased this in a short as well, but I wanted to go ahead and showcase it here in this video just so that both of them are in the same video. You don't have to go searching for something else, and it revolves around this piece of all things. This piece is a bit special because this is essentially the Mata handpiece. It was made before that for the Robo Riders and for the Slicers, Throwbots, etc. But what's unique about it, or close to unique, is these open axle holes. They're axle holes that are not complete on all four sides. And because of that, it's actually just enough space to ride this little groove inside of here. And it just so happens that where that clip exists to allow these to clip onto the hand, onto the axle for those arms, is the same distance apart to ride this in here and connect it. And so now this is connected. It's not going to go anywhere. Of course, I could pull it back out, or I could attach it in different orientations, have it facing one of the other directions. Sure. But that's really cool. And that is actually something I plan on using in a future Rahi. One of the Rahkshi spine pieces, the brown Rahkshi, which is, I think, Parak or Panrak, whatever his name is. His name's terrible. Anyway, with that one specifically, the spikes go in different kind of orientations. It's a super cool and unique aesthetic for that one specifically. And I found methods for actually like combining multiple of these together, chaining them. And so I have showcased that one as well in a past video. I'm not worried about it here, but I plan on building something focused specifically around that. And I'm thinking of something like a porcupine or something just spiny, a hedgehog or something, whatever. So it's a lot of fun, as I mentioned. And I plan to continue to experiment with these parts because I guarantee you that there's plenty more that you can do with not only these pieces, but pieces like these that have these sort of proprietary connections. We've checked out, the dragon head from the new Rising Dragon Strike sets, which has next to no connection points, at least for, Technic stuff. And we've been able to make that work. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It does really help out the channel. And of course, if you want to go sift around and search for those videos, I won't stop you. It absolutely helps in the algorithm anyway. And of course, I'll link some videos at the end of this one as well if you want to continue checking out what we got here. Outside of that, of course, you can join in on the conversation. Let me know your thoughts. Have you ever experimented specifically with this piece? And what have you found that has worked? Rubber bands are an obvious inclusion there, but have you found anything that you think is interesting, that you think is a unique connection? And of course, you can also check out Discord, Instagram, and Patreon if you want to support the channel and get some perks. And we also had some new Patreon members join yesterday as well. So thank you all very much, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.